Chapter 24 The Old Man. The torch-carrying moblin led them out of their prison cell in Dragon Mausoleum and through an upwardly sloping tunnel that had carved right through the base of Death Mountain. But what Prince Facade wanted to know was why the tunnel had been dug there in the first place. There had to be dozens, if not 100 rooms where he and Link could have been held, but then he got his answer when they reached a junction in the tunnel. This area was illuminated by wall torches, and in the orange light he could see that there were dozens of branching tunnels, each going to a different area. "You tunneled into more rooms?" he asked, considering using the others to surprise the Wizrobes and get their weapons back. "How many?" "All rooms, actually," the Moblin explained. "Our great leader is wise, and knew that one day such a tunnel would be needed. Although sometimes his visions are not the clearest, hence the many tunnels." "Well, we appreciate the rescue either way," Link added. "But I thought all moblins served Ganondorf." The creature leading them down the tunnel laughed for a moment and then began an explanation of how the few moblin tribes that served the sorcerer had only done so for a short number of decades, as was the case with most of his followers. Ganondorf was a great sorcerer, to be sure, but it was his alliance with the Triforce of Power that truly brought the hordes to kneel at his feet. Before that, Ganondorf had been nothing but a traveling thief, combining his knowledge of magic with the fighting skills of his partner, Darknut, which was how they made their original fortune. "Like me and Aghanim," Link said quietly. "Quite," the Moblin replied. "But I shall say no more. Our great leader is just ahead, and he will tell you the rest of what you need to know." "I look forward to meeting him," Facade added. "So who is this leader of yours? Is he far?" The prince had only finished the question when the tunnel suddenly ended at a thick wooden door. The Moblin pushed it open, and then the three of them walked into the open air to find that the rain had stopped. The sun had also gone down, leaving a bright full moon in its place, and in the silvery light Facade saw rocks, dead trees, and gravestones. However, they were not inside the graveyard itself, but on the fenced-off land that surrounded a small cottage. Its close distance to the tombstones, as well as the tools in the yard, made him think that the place was perhaps the gravedigger's home. But like all who traveled through Hyrule, the prince knew that it was a bad idea to venture too close to the old burial ground. "This way, please," the Moblin continued. "Our great leader awaits you inside the house." Link followed the creature without hesitation, so Facade did the same. After all, if the Moblin had intended to kill them, he could have done so already, since their weapons had been taken from them. Anyway, it led them into the small cottage, where a dim orange light from the fire revealed an old man sitting on a rocking chair in the corner. His skin was heavily wrinkled, and his white beard appeared large and unkempt, barely showing the movements of his mouth, when he smiled upon seeing them. "Ah, my guests," the old man said happily as he motioned for them to come closer. "Please, come in, sit down. Thank you, Sydney, you may go." "Sydney?" Link asked as the Moblin bowed and left. Odd name for a Moblin. Not wanting to be rude, the prince walked across the small room and sat on one of the chairs, with Link joining him a moment later. Now the old man took a little time looking at them, first spending over a minute looking at Facade, and next doing the same to Link, as if this was some kind of examination. Once finished, he smiled again while leaning back in the chair, rocking slightly back and forth. "So, the two of you finally come before me," the old man began. "Young men with lives as different as they can be, but sharing the same quest to defeat the evil sorcerer and save the beautiful princess. You, Facade of Arcadia, are a young man in love. You defied your mother, stole your family's magical heirlooms, and have become engaged to marry your precious Zelda without her father's consent." "Seriously?" Link asked with genuine surprise. "You rogue, you!" "King Harkinium will come around," the prince argued, folding his arms. "When I rescue his daughter and return the Triforce of Power, he'll be begging me to marry her." "Oh, of course," the old man continued. "And you, Link of the Eastern Forest, are a petty criminal, but your heart is good. You seek a fortune to make a better life, one of respect and renown, but be warned. You and your wizard friend walk a mirrored path to that of Ganondorf and Darknut. How will the Triforce of Power affect you in the end, I wonder? Is Aghanim still alive? Link replied, ignoring the rest for the moment. Chuckling to himself, the old man waved his arm toward the nearby fire, and then the dancing flames began to form swirling images. Towns, people, forests, and even castles appeared in the orange light, and the old man leaned closer before beginning to speak. Alive, yes, he answered as the flames' images changed. He was defeated by your enemy and left for dead, but was rescued by a lady thief who shares your quest. Blind is the one who tends to him. For while you, Link, were stealing her father's gold, Aghanim was stealing her heart. Blind is a girl? Link and Facade both exclaimed as the image changed to show a hooded and masked figure. Facade couldn't believe it. Blind the thief, a girl, the same Blind who managed to steal guarded treasures from Hyrule's northern palace, and whose reward for capture was nothing short of astonishing. The fiery images changed to show this masked figure breaking into Eagle Prison and doing battle with Goria, and then the fire became a closer view of her as she took down the robe and removed her mask, showing her long dark hair and beautiful face. Aghanim won her over? Link asked in disbelief. Some people have all the luck, eh, Facade? Hold a moment, Facade replied as he looked closer. Miranda? Are you telling me that Lady Miranda, the cousin of my Zelda, is Blind the thief? The images in the fire faded just as it was showing Aghanim and Miranda kissing, and the prince was in total disbelief. How could such a prominent young woman of such high standing become a renowned criminal? He had known Miranda since they were children, and yes, the girl always liked to take things that were not hers, including his teddy bear when he was 6, which Facade never got back. But she and Zelda were inseparable, the kind of girls who told each other everything, and he meant everything. Zelda had even told her about the awkward first they had shared at a royal ball when he was 12, and for years Miranda laughed at him while making strange horse-like movements with her mouth. So how could Zelda have not known something like that? Or maybe she did? Was it possible that Zelda knew Blind's real identity this whole time? And if so, had the princess ever joined her for a night of crime? For a moment, Facade had a strange image in his mind of his love dressed up to pass herself off as a man, with her hair tightly under wraps to make it appear shorter, a mask over her nose and mouth, and maybe some really tight-fitting dark clothes, and maybe a knife. The prince couldn't help but smile a bit as he pictured her breaking into his bedchamber late at night, and then standing over him with her blade at his throat. "I've got you now, Facade," Zelda would say while tossing off his blanket. "I am the evil and beautiful, Sheik? Yes, Sheik the thief, and I've come for both your gold and your innocence." "Oh, please do not hurt me, you gorgeous and deadly fiend," he would say back as she pinned him down. "I am at your mercy, and I will do anything you want in order to—" The fantasy was ended when the old man smacked him on the forehead, bringing the prince back into the reality of sitting into the small cottage. Oh, well, this was not the time for fantasy, it was the time for action. Zelda was still a prisoner of Gargamel, and he would not rest until the villain was dead and the princess was safe. Then they would get married, and after that, perhaps they could discuss an encounter with Sheik the Thief. For now, he and Link needed to get their weapons back from the Wizrobes, somehow. "Do not worry about your weapons," the old man replied as if reading his thoughts. "My moblins will have retrieved them by the time you return." "Return from what?" Link asked. "Where are we going?" The old man pointed out the window, and the two of them looked out to see nothing but the graveyard stretched out before them. The tombstones, dead trees, and rest of the landscape were illuminated by the moon's silver light, but this somehow made the place seem even more frightening. "You want us to go into the graveyard?" Facade asked, looking back at him. "In the middle of the night?" "Only if you wish to defeat Ganondorf," the old man explained as he got up. "With the Triforce of Power on his side, he is invincible, and since you seem to have been running into some problems on your search for the Triforce of Wisdom, you will need every advantage you can find. Now come along. The Master Sword awaits you."